Okay, in this little section I want to talk about something called palm muting. Basically we're going to be playing our three chords that you already know about in the rhythm that you already know about, but we're going to be, instead of playing them clean, we're going to be playing them muffled or muted. Yeah, it's a real driving sort of sound. If I play it with the rhythm that we're going to be working on, yeah, just mess around with it like this. Now the way to do this is, because palm muting is one of them things, it's a little bit fiddly. We want to be taking the sort of knife edge part of our hand and putting it on the guitar strings, laid flat sort of thing. So in other words, I'm putting all of that edge across the guitar. And to get a little bit of extra mileage about it, in case you miss it, I also extend my pinky finger and I put that pinky finger on the actual guitar body by the pickguard here. So I'm kind of like all the way across the strings, just in case I miss any in terms of muting it and I don't want open strings ringing out. Okay, so that's what I'm basically doing. Now the hard part is, where do you put your hand to get that sound? The easiest way I've found to do this, because nobody really explained it to me when I first was trying to get this sound, just grab any chord. So for example, grab our E5 chord, put your hand at the top of the C, here's the sound hole, put your hand at the top of the sound hole and rest across the strings, and now strike the strings. You're not getting anything. Now gradually bring your hand backwards. Listen to the change in sound. There. Forward. Nothing. Keep going back till you get something. Right there's where you want to be. So for me, that's right. I don't know whether you can see that too well, but there's the bridge and my hand is literally right in front of it. I've got really big hands, that's where my sort of hand needs to be, right in front of the bridge. Other people might be a little bit further forward, it depends on your own hand. But that's how I sort of find the sort of the sweet spot really for muting on the guitar. Just put it across the strings, don't press too hard of course, so even if you're there you're still going to be getting the dead string. Just nice and light, but make sure you're touching the strings. Come back till you get that chuggy sort of sound. So that's all I'm doing here to get that driving, thumping sound on the palm mute. Okay, so let's now look at the next section of the video where we'll be talking about the structure of our 12-bar blues. Okay, in this section of the video I just want to talk about the structure of our 12-bar blues today. Now the 12-bar blues we're going to be looking at is a quick change blues for our backing track, which in muso speak means we replace the second measure, which would normally be a 1 chord, with the 4 chord. If that sounds like complete double Dutch, then don't worry about it. Just learn this chord sequence and then know that this is often referred to as a quick change blues. Okay then, so for bar 1, we're going to have our E5 chord for 1 bar. For bar 2, we'll have our A5 chord. For bars 3 and bars 4, we'll go back to our E5 chord. For bars 5 and 6, we'll go to our A5 chord. For bars 7 and 8, we'll have our E5 chord. And then for our last 4 measures, which is where all the action occurs, for bar 9, we'll have our B5 chord. For bars 10, we'll have our A5 chord. For bar 11, we'll have our E5 chord. And for bar 12, we'll go back to our B5 chord. So that is the structure really of our quick change blues. Let me just recap on that last line because that's where all the action occurs. So for bar 9 we're going to have our B5 chord, bar 10 A5, bar 11 E5, and then for bar 12 B5. So let me try and go through that slowly and put it all together and see if you can play along with me. So I'll count you in and then we'll play it nice and slow and I'll call out the chords as I go. So after 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that was sort of the basic, well, it's hard to count loud that long. That's the basic structure of our 12 bar blues. So in the last section before we get to the fun, let's take a look at the turnaround, which will take you a little while to practice, but it's really worthwhile to go under your fingers because it sounds great and it's so recognisable for the end or the turnaround section of our 12 bar blues. So let's take a look at that and then let's get on with the jam track. Okay, in this section, which is the last of the sort of the learned sections, we're going to be taking a look at a 2-bar turnaround. Our turnaround is basically a phrase that's going to replace the last 2 bars of our 12 bar, and it's going to be the signal to the rest of the band that we're going to turn the whole thing around, which means we're going to go back to the beginning and repeat our 12 bars. So it's literally a musical phrase that sits in bars 11 and 12 and gets us back to the beginning. The turnaround. So our turnaround is going to sound something like this. If I just play that a little bit slower. So what I'm doing here is the sort of the classic turnaround that you learn using sixths. Don't worry about the technical stuff of this, just learn the lick, it's a great one to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strike the low 6th string, kill it as soon as you hit it. So I'm just putting my hand down on the sort of the end here. Then we're going to be sliding in from 2nd fret up to 4th fret on the 3rd string. Going to put your 3rd finger, I do this with, 3rd finger down onto the 1st string of the 4th fret, pick that, then go back to the 3rd string. So you pick in all at the 4th fret here, 3rd string, 1st string, 3rd string. Drop that shape down, so I'm now at the 3rd fret, repeat the picking pattern, 3, 1, 3. Drop down to the 2nd fret, repeat the picking pattern, 3, 1, 3. Now we're going to go down to a little bit of a sort of diagonal shape really, and that's going to be the 1st fret of the 3rd string and the open 1st string together. You can strum through it if you want, but you'll need to keep that 2nd string quiet, or you could even just catch the... So we've got... I like to pinch this, which means I'm striking the 1st fret on the 3rd with the pick, and then my 2nd finger is sort of plucking or picking the 1st string. So putting that together, you could however just strum through those last 3 strings, having an open 2nd and 1st string with your 1st fret on the 3rd. So then you would have... You could have that if you want. Then the last little bit, or literally, And what we're going to be doing there is an open 5th, 1st fret 5th, 2nd fret 5th, and it's important you land on that 2nd fret 5th with your 2nd finger if you're about to throw in the B7 chord. So you get your... If you're not going to put the B7 in, you might want to work up to that. You can just hold that B note until we hit the end. And end it there before we go back to the beginning. Or whatever rhythm it is you're playing. So let's put that entire turnaround together, and again you can follow along with the tab on the screen. It'll take you a little bit of practice to do, but it's really worthwhile. So here it is. A little bit quicker. So there's our little turnaround phrase that we can use and you can work up to. Of course you don't have to use that for our play along, but I'm going to be using it on the first round through. Then on the second 12-bar round I won't play that to show you what it will be like if you choose not to play the turnaround. So let's get on with the fun stuff. Let's listen to the jam track for a round, and then I'll start playing on the second time through so you can have a listen to what it sounds like on the first playthrough. So let's get going and let's have some fun.